Hello, and welcome to this brief video guide on interviewing for podcasts. This is a practical guide for first-time podcasting hosts, and it's part of our SIIP and Share podcast toolkit at the University of Illinois. Welcome. My name is Colleen King. I am a clinical assistant professor of journalism at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, where I also serve as director of the Frank Center for Leadership and Innovation in Media. Before my time in academia, I spent 17 years in television news, most recently as executive producer for The 11th Hour with Brian Williams. And prior to that, I was a senior producer on Hardball with Chris Matthews and Morning Joe. Throughout those 17 years, I have booked and produced interviews with presidents, presidential candidates, members of Congress, Supreme Court justices, world leaders, celebrities, and many, many more. So I'm excited to share this interviewing knowledge with you. First, let's talk about how to set yourself up for success. That involves a little bit of homework before you do your interview, but don't worry, it'll be interesting. You'll want to research your guest's bio. You want to take a look at any of their published work. And go find any previous interviews they've granted, be it print, television, or audio. By looking through these materials, you can really identify the biggest unanswered questions on your topic at hand. Those are potential opportunities to create news and interesting nuggets for your listeners in your own podcast. And throughout your time consuming this information, really think about asking yourself, what does my audience most need to hear from this guest? Why are they the expert? Why have you brought them on? Once you've gathered that information, you're ready to start writing your questions, which when you have great questions, they can really open doors to an incredible conversation. Ideally, you'll want to ask open-ended questions that avoid a simple yes, no, or one-word answer. Ask for detail. Evoking that kind of imagery and elaboration really makes for a great interview. Think about the flow for your interview. As you're looking at your list of questions, they should build logically from one to the next. Start off warmly at the beginning. Establish a conversational tone. Think about really welcoming them to your interview and your podcast. If you've got tougher questions you want to get to and you want to pin somebody down on a piece of information, I find it's best to bury that question later on in the interview. Get to the hard stuff once you've built a rapport with your guest. It might make for a better answer. I once worked with a television news anchor who said every interview could be boiled down to 3 questions, and if you'd covered these 3 buckets, you'd produced a great interview. So what are they? The 3 are, what's the issue, where's the heat, and what comes next? What's the issue meaning? Explain the big picture here and the topic at hand. What are we looking at? What do we need to know? Where do things stand right now? Number 2, where's the heat? Well, in every issue, there's always some kind of conflict, drama, challenge, debate. Maybe it's a struggle. Make sure you've covered that in your questioning and allow the guest to offer an opinion on that. And then what comes next? Take your interview and push it forward. Where does this issue go from here? What can we anticipate? What should we be watching for as your listeners or viewers? Now let's get to actually conducting the interview. I often find before you even hit record, it's great to start with a casual conversation before you begin. It relaxes both you and your guest, especially if one or both of you are new to the interview format. You could even ask something as simple as, where'd you come from on campus? What'd you have for breakfast this morning? How was your weekend? Simple things like that. If needed, have your guest confirm their name pronunciation before you hit record. Keep your questions short. Remember, this interview is about them and their expertise, not about you, so let's highlight our guest. If you get an answer that seems a little confusing to you or you think might be confusing to your listeners or viewers, don't be afraid to rephrase a question and get some clarification from your guest. And lastly, don't fear silence. It can draw out elaboration. It allows somebody to stop and think. It really can make for a powerful moment in the interview. The most important skill to learn as you're actively interviewing someone is to stop and listen to their answers. You'll want to be looking for your outline and be ready for the next question, but listening to the interview is where you are able to hear their responses in real time and jump in and ask follow-up questions or ask for more details and really learn more in the moment. And that makes for a great conversation for your audience. I've got some what I call back pocket questions here that I feel you can tailor to almost any interview topic or guest in some fashion. So go ahead and throw these in your phone notes or memo file so you can refer back to these and add them in as you see fit in your future interviews. What do you wish more people knew about this topic? What about this keeps you up at night? What was the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome to get here? How might you advise someone, really get them to put on the advisor role and almost be in the corner in a boxing match? Give some advice, coach somebody. And lastly, what do you wish I would ask you and why? This can be incredibly revealing to hear what people think has gone undercovered or not talked about enough. Now, specific podcasting tips: don't talk over your guest. Let them finish before you respond or follow up. That crosstalk of people speaking over each other is really tough for an audio medium. Eliminate distracting noises. Phones, even if they're buzzing and the ringer is off, can still be distracting. Jewelry, watches, rings, bracelets that could be hitting a desk or table or microphone. Pen tapping or a ballpoint pen clicking. A squeaky chair when somebody's tilting left to right or forward backward in their chair can offer some noise that's distracting to your audience. Have water on hand when you can, and don't worry if someone sneezes, coughs, loses their train of thought, doesn't like their answer. Let them stop and redo it. You can always fix this in editing after your interview has concluded, and you want to make for the best show possible. So don't be afraid to start or stop and start over. Finally, record a clean welcome, hello, and a hello to your guest, and a thank you at the end. You want to make sure you've got clean versions of that, of them responding to you in real time as you say, thank you for being here, and they say, my pleasure, or whatever the case may be. You want to grab that and make sure that's recorded. And lastly, interviewing is a skill and an art. And as long as you are curious, the process gets easier each time you do it. It can be a great deal of fun. It is an incredible learning opportunity. And I'm so glad to share just a few quick tips with you to get you started. Thanks very much for watching.